Dear Chosen One, have you ever wondered why your presence alone seems to disrupt everything around you? Why, despite your best efforts to remain silent and steady, those who cannot control you still attempt to bring you down? The truth is simple. When you are chosen, you become a force too great for the world to handle. A roaring fire doesn't fear the whispers of the wind, and the universe doesn't argue with those who defy its will. It simply erases them. Your enemies are not fighting you. They are fighting the force that chose you, and no one wins against the universe. Before we dive deeper into this powerful message, I want to take a moment to thank you for your support. If you've donated through Super Thanks, know that I deeply appreciate your generosity. Whether you contribute or not, your presence and your engagement make a difference. The more chosen ones like you who engage with this message, the stronger our collective energy becomes. Every like, share, and comment signals to the universe that this message must be spread, and it makes the force even stronger. So, with that said, take a moment to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's rise together. And if you're ready to silence every enemy forever, comment the number 777 below. Your energy is what makes this community even more powerful. Chosen One, the world fears you, not because of what they see, but because of what they can't control. When you step into a room, the very air shifts. You exist, and the illusions around them begin to crumble. They will attack. They will whisper. But you must remember, you were built to rise, to endure, to carry a power that cannot be broken. You do not need to prove yourself. Your very presence is enough to send them running, because no one can stand against what the universe has ordained. So, let's walk this path together, step by step. Keep your light bright. Stay strong. You are exactly where you are meant to be. God's chosen ones, get ready to silence every enemy forever. Unleash the power. Number 1. A king never argues with fools. He lets the throne speak. They screamed. They threw everything at you. Lies, doubts, distractions, hoping something would stick, hoping they could shake you. But the moment you chose silence, they lost. Power isn't about noise, it's about presence. Think about it. The ocean doesn't need to announce when a storm is coming, does it? It simply rises. A wildfire doesn't ask for permission before it consumes everything in its path. It moves as it pleases. And the universe doesn't pause to explain itself when it aligns to favor you. Your enemies were never fighting you directly. No, they were fighting the system itself. And that system, the one that brought you into existence as one of God's chosen, is unstoppable. They acted as if they hated you, as if they couldn't bear the very sight of you. But deep down, we know the truth. They fear you. They don't fear what you've done, but who you are. From the moment you entered the room, they could feel it, the shift in energy. They sense something greater, something that dwarfs their feeble existence. They saw in you what they'll never be, and it gnaws at them from within. Have you ever wondered why their attacks feel so deeply personal? Why they watch you so closely, with such intense scrutiny? Why do they try so hard to bring you down? It's because they know the truth. They can't reach you. Their greatest nightmare isn't your failure, it's your success. Every step you take in silence, every movement you make undeterred, shakes them to their core. They seek validation. They want to be seen, to be heard. But you move without needing an audience. You exist, and that existence alone shatters their reality. Romans 8:31 tells us, "What then shall we say in response to these things? If God is for us, who can be against us?" Do you ever pause to reflect on the truth in these words? When you are chosen, when you stand aligned with divine purpose, no weapon formed against you can prosper. Imagine the audacity of someone trying to cheat gravity, believing they can jump from a cliff and not fall. Ridiculous, right? Your enemies thought they could manipulate the universe itself, throwing obstacles in your way without repercussions. But here's the catch. The universe keeps perfect score. Every attack they launched at you wasn't just an attack. It was an attack on the balance of the entire system. And now, that balance is correcting itself. Proverbs 4:25-27 says, "Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn to the right or the left. Keep your foot from evil." This scripture reinforces the idea that when you stay on your path, undeterred by the attacks around you, you are walking in alignment with divine truth, and the system will never fail you. Have you noticed how their world is crumbling, how their plans are unraveling, how the very traps they set for you have now ensnared them? That's not karma, it's cosmic correction. The universe doesn't need to seek revenge. It simply restores order. What was built on lies will eventually collapse, and what was built on truth will rise. This is why you don't need to chase justice. Justice is already in motion. They want to see you rage. They want you to react, to give them a sign of weakness, but you are unreadable. You are the storm that arrives without warning, the shadow that moves in silence. A lion doesn't warn before it pounces. A tsunami doesn't ask for permission before it crashes. And a true chosen one, they don't waste time explaining, justifying, or proving. They just move, and that movement alone kills them from the inside. Your enemies tried to drag you into their battles, but you wisely refused to fight a war that's already been won. Instead, you walked away, and nothing haunts them more than your absence. Can you see it? The silence, the calm, the success that they never expected. It's the greatest form of revenge. Watch as they self-destruct while you continue to thrive, to rise above. Because the truth is, they were never your competition. They were never even in the same league. Consider the story of Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison, facing unimaginable hardship. His enemies tried to break him, but when he was released, he chose not to respond to hate with hate. Instead, he walked into the future with strength and unity. His silence, his refusal to retaliate, his very presence alone shook the world and made his enemies' attacks seem insignificant. A diamond doesn't beg to be noticed. A hurricane doesn't need permission to change the landscape. And you don't need to explain why you're unstoppable. Look at how far you've come. Despite every trap, every lie, every betrayal. You weren't supposed to survive, but you did. And that alone makes you the most dangerous force in the game. Your enemies are running out of moves. Meanwhile, you're just getting started. Number 2, the sun doesn't apologize for burning. It just shines. You don't even need to lift a finger. You don't have to speak a word. Your existence alone is enough to rattle your enemies. They feel it before you even walk into the room. The shift in the air, the tension. They tense up, they squirm, and they hate it. Why? Because you carry something they cannot understand, something they'll never possess. And here's the kicker. You don't even try, yet your mere presence disturbs them. Have you ever noticed how the mere change of your presence makes them uneasy? Why do you think that is? Why do they become so agitated when you simply exist? You are a mirror they never wanted to face. You reflect everything they pretend to be, everything they wish they were. Instead of working on themselves, instead of confronting their own weaknesses, they lash out at you. Why? Because it's easier to hate the sun than to admit they'll never shine like it. Matthew 5:14-16 says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house." Have you ever realized that your very existence is a light to others? Even when they try to dim it, it can never be extinguished. How does it feel to know that your light shines brighter than their efforts to hide it? They talk about you when you're not around. They throw shade, try to twist your name, try to shrink your greatness. But do you know what that really means? It means they've already lost. A truly powerful person doesn't waste time plotting against others. A lion doesn't lose sleep over the opinions of sheep. They're obsessed with you because they feel powerless around you, and it eats them alive. Have you ever wondered why they can't stop thinking about you, even when you're not around? You don't play by their rules. You don't beg for approval. You don't shrink to make them comfortable. That's why you're so dangerous. They need validation to survive, to exist. They need likes, they need reassurance, they need confirmation. But you need nothing. Your strength comes from within. You don't chase, you don't beg, you don't explain. You simply exist. And that's what drives them mad. Do you realize how much power you hold in simply being yourself? Mahatma Gandhi was a leader who demonstrated the power of non-violence and silence. Even when his enemies tried to break him with force and hatred, he stood firm, showing them the true strength of peace. His quiet strength rattled his enemies far more than any battle ever could. Can you imagine the kind of power it takes to remain calm while your enemies are bent on your destruction? They wanted to control you, but you can't cage the wind. They wanted to break you, but you were built like a mountain. They wanted to see you crumble, but they didn't realize you are the storm. Now they are terrified because nothing they do is working. They throw their best attacks at you, and you don't flinch. They try to trap you in their games, and you don't play. They try to drag you into the mud, and you rise above. Have you seen how their plans fail against your unshakable resolve? That silence, that stillness, that calm power that radiates from you, it terrifies them. They can't comprehend how you move with such certainty, how you continue forward even when everything was meant to break you. They don't get how you stand tall even when surrounded by enemies. But here's the truth. They were never your real problem. Your presence alone exposes everything false, everything weak, everything built on lies. And that's why they fear you. Look at them now, scrambling, overthinking, desperately trying to figure you out. You don't need to do anything. They are self-destructing as they try to bring you down. Their jealousy is eating them from within. Their insecurities are suffocating them. Have you ever realized that while they try to destroy you, it's really their own destruction they're creating? You were never in danger. They were. Because when you are chosen, the universe aligns to protect you, to move for you, to remove anything that doesn't serve your higher purpose. And they were never part of that purpose. That's why they're falling away. That's why their attacks aren't landing. The harder they try, the more they lose. Have you ever experienced the sense of protection that comes from being aligned with your true purpose? They thought they could be the storm that would destroy you, but you are the hurricane. They believed they could control you, but you were never meant to be tamed. They thought you would break, but they didn't realize you are unshakable. And that's why you don't need to fight them. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need revenge. You just need to keep being you. Because nothing terrifies them more than a chosen one who fully knows their power. Do you realize that your mere existence shakes their world to its core? Number 3. A snake always exposes itself. Just wait for the hiss. You never had to go searching for them. You never had to dig through shadows to uncover the ones moving against you. They exposed themselves. They couldn't help it. At first, they played it cool, smiling in your face, pretending to support you. But energy never lies. And when someone stands in the presence of something greater than them, something they cannot control, their mask starts to slip. And that's exactly what happened. Proverbs 12:23 says, "The prudent keep their knowledge to themselves, but a fool's heart blurts out folly." Have you noticed how the truth always has a way of revealing itself, no matter how hard someone tries to hide it? Your enemies thought they were hidden, thought they could play both sides, thought they could operate in silence while throwing dirt on your name. But here's the thing, the weight of their own jealousy became too heavy to carry. The pressure of your rise made them crumble under their own insecurities. They started slipping, whispering a little too loud, dropping little hints of resentment, letting their jealousy show through their fake smiles. And before they even realized it, they weren't hiding anymore. They were standing in the open, fully revealed, looking like fools. Have you ever witnessed how someone's true colors start showing after they've been exposed? Why do you think they can't keep up the facade for long? That's the thing about being chosen. You don't have to seek out enemies. You just have to keep moving, and they will reveal themselves. Every single time, they start watching you too closely, tracking your every move, talking about you more than they talk about their own lives. They spend so much time trying to tear you down that they forget to build themselves up. And soon, people notice. Romans 8:28 reminds us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." How often have you seen how your progress reveals the true intentions of those around you? Can you see that all their schemes only serve to expose their insecurities? What kind of person dedicates their time to trying to destroy someone else? What kind of person moves with that much bitterness? It's not long before everyone sees what they really are. That's the real irony. They think they are hurting you, but they are only exposing themselves. They wanted you to be the villain, but they ended up painting themselves as the weak, bitter ones, the desperate ones, the ones so consumed by envy that they can't even focus on their own path. Psalm 37:9 says, "For those who are evil will be destroyed, but those who hope in the Lord will inherit the land." Have you ever realized that your enemy's efforts only lead them to their own downfall? How can you stay calm when you know that their actions are self-destructive? They didn't just hate your success, they hated your resilience, the way you kept going, untouched, unshaken, while they drowned in their own failures. And the more they tried to disrupt you, the worse it got for them. Because the truth is, the universe will not let them win against you. Every trap they set for you will be the very thing that destroys them. Every lie they tell will be the poison they choke on. Every bit of energy they waste on you will be the reason they never grow. And you don't have to do anything. You don't have to fight them. You don't have to argue. You don't have to expose them. Serena Williams, a tennis champion, faced constant criticism and attempts to undermine her career. Instead of fighting back or seeking validation, she continued to win, using their negativity to fuel her success. Her enemies' attacks only made her more resilient, and in the end, they exposed their own insecurities while she cemented her legacy as one of the greatest athletes of all time. They will do all of that on their own, because their obsession with you is their downfall. They underestimated you. They thought you would play their game. They thought you would lower yourself to their level. But they didn't realize. Chosen ones don't play with peasants. Chosen ones don't roll in the mud with snakes. Chosen ones don't waste time proving themselves to people who were never on their level to begin with. And that's why they are losing. Your power comes from knowing who you are and never stepping off your throne. While they are busy running in circles, exhausting themselves with their own jealousy, you are already 10 steps ahead. John 16:33 encourages us, "I have told you these things, so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." Can you feel the peace that comes from standing firm in who you are and trusting that victory is already yours? They can talk, they can gossip, they can scheme. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you are untouchable, and they will be nothing more than a lesson in your story. Number 4, The one who controls your emotions controls you. They wanted you to break, to explode, to beg, because the moment you react, they win. They feed off your energy, off your anger, off your pain. But when you give them nothing, they starve. They call you cold because you refuse to be played. They call you heartless because you no longer entertain their manipulation. But the truth is, you are free, and that terrifies them. Have you ever seen how your detachment makes them frustrated? Why do you think they can't handle your silence? They expected you to chase, to explain, to prove yourself, but you didn't. You stepped back, you disconnected, and now they're losing their minds, trying to figure out how they lost control over you. Emotional detachment is the deadliest weapon you can wield, not because you don't feel, but because you refuse to let feelings make your choices for you. Proverbs 16:32 reminds us, "Better a patient person than a warrior, those with self-control than those who take a city." Can you feel the power that comes from being able to control your emotions rather than being controlled by them? They relied on your emotions to keep you bound, to guilt you into staying, to bait you into reacting, to keep you tangled in their web of chaos. But the moment you stopped responding, the strings snapped. And a puppet without strings is just another useless tool. They never expected you to outgrow them. They never thought you would develop the strength to walk away. And yet here you are, untouchable, unmoved, watching them fall apart under the weight of their own games. The most dangerous person in the world is the one who cannot be manipulated. And that's exactly who you've become. James 1:19 says, "Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry." Have you ever practiced the power of silence when everyone expects you to react? Doesn't it feel like freedom when you realize you control your peace? They throw words at you like knives, hoping you'll bleed. But you don't, because you've mastered the art of silence. They wanted you to explain yourself, to justify your choices, to make them feel better about their own insecurities. But you owe them nothing. The moment you stopped seeking validation, you became a threat. They can't stand that you don't need their approval, that you don't flinch when they insult you, that their absence doesn't shake you. That's why they're still watching, still waiting, still hoping for a reaction. Let them wait, let them scream, let them wonder why nothing they do affects you anymore, because here's the truth, they never had power over you. You just hadn't realized it yet. They controlled you through guilt, through love, through obligation. But once you saw it for what it was, once you chose peace over chaos, their power disappeared, and now they are exposed. Without your energy to feed on, they are left alone with their own emptiness. That's why they lash out. That's why they scramble to get your attention, because they are powerless without you. Nelson Mandela spent decades in prison, not allowing the hatred and manipulation of his captors to control his emotions. Instead, he found inner peace and continued his mission, proving that emotional detachment in the face of adversity is not weakness, but strength. In the end, his silence and calm were what defeated the system of oppression, not rage or revenge. Walking away isn't weakness. It's power. It's the ability to say, "I choose myself." It's the ultimate declaration that you refuse to be manipulated. They will call you selfish. They will say you changed. They will say you are the villain. Let them. Because a chosen one never stays in places that drain them. A chosen one never explains their worth. A chosen one moves forward, unshaken, unstoppable, and untouchable. And that's exactly why you've already won. Number 5. A dim flame will always hate the sun. You never had to say a word. You never had to prove anything. Just existing in your truth, in your power, was enough to set them off. They despise you, not because of what you've done, but because of what you represent. Your confidence, makes them question their own hesitation. Your purpose reminds them of how lost they are. Your authenticity exposes the masks they wear every day. And instead of fixing themselves, instead of facing their own emptiness, they turn that hatred onto you. Proverbs 3:25-26 says, "Have no fear of sudden disaster or of the ruin that overtakes the wicked, for the Lord will be at your side and will keep your foot from being snared." Have you ever noticed how when you step into your purpose with confidence, those around you are forced to confront their own fears and insecurities? It burns them to see someone who isn't afraid to walk in their own light. They've spent their whole lives pretending to be happy, pretending to be strong, pretending to have it all together. And then you come along, effortlessly real, and they can't stand it. You don't have to attack them. You don't have to compete. The mere fact that you exist at full power destroys them. That's why they whisper. That's why they gossip. That's why they try to discredit you, twist your name, turn people against you. Because they need you to be small. They need you to doubt yourself. They need you to second-guess your worth. But here's the truth. Their battle isn't with you. It's with themselves. They've spent years running from their reflection, avoiding their own truth, building their identity on things that don't hold weight. And now, standing next to you, all those cracks are showing. So they do the only thing they know how to do: project their self-hatred onto you. They call you arrogant because they don't understand confidence. They call you lucky because they don't understand discipline. They call you different because they don't understand what it means to be chosen. Ephesians 4:2 urges, "Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love." How often have you had to bear with people's misunderstanding or jealousy? How does it feel to know that you can stand strong while others struggle to find their own footing? But let them talk, because nothing they say will change who you are. They want you to dim yourself, to shrink, to make yourself easier for them to handle. But why would you lessen your fire just because they can't handle the heat? Their discomfort is not your problem. If your light blinds them, they can look away. If your energy is too much, they can step aside. But never, never dim yourself to make them comfortable. Because here's the secret: they don't actually hate you, they envy you. They wish they had your clarity, your strength, your ability to stand tall despite every attempt to break you. They wish they didn't have to live for validation. They wish they could move without fear. But instead of learning from you, they try to destroy you, because destruction is easier than self-improvement. Let them collapse under the weight of their own envy. Let them drown in their own bitterness. Because while they waste their energy hating you, you are only rising higher. Beyoncé has faced constant criticism and even public hate from various sources throughout her career. Despite this, she has continued to shine, staying focused on her craft and her purpose. Instead of being weighed down by her critics, she uses their negativity to fuel her success. Through her resilience, she shows the world that while some may hate your light, it's that very light that elevates you. A diamond doesn't apologize for shining. A wildfire doesn't apologize for burning. And you don't apologize for existing at full power. They will either rise to meet you or fade into the background where they belong. Either way, you keep shining. Number 6. A shadow can't stop the sun. It only proves the light exists. They thought they could stop you, thought their words, their schemes, their petty little games would be enough to bring you down. But what they never understood is that you were never fighting the same battle as them. They live for temporary things: attention, approval, power over others. You move with something greater. They fight to be seen, while you fight for something eternal. 2 Corinthians 4:8-9 reminds us, We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed. Have you ever felt the weight of opposition, only to realize that every challenge only strengthens your resolve? That's why their attacks never worked. That's why no matter how much noise they made, you kept going. Because they were never a real threat. They were never anything more than a distraction. Enemies come and go, but your purpose remains. Your destiny doesn't crumble because a few weak people tried to stand in your way. A mountain does not fall because the wind screams at it. And that's exactly what they are. Just wind, just noise, just background interference in a story that was never about them. They threw everything at you, hoping you'd quit. But they didn't understand the difference between a battle and a war. You were never here for the small fights. You were built for something far beyond their reach. That's why they hate you. Because you keep proving them wrong. Because no matter how much they attack, you are still here. You are still rising. You are still becoming. Isaiah 40:31 assures us, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." How does it feel to know that while they grow weary trying to bring you down, you continue to rise stronger than ever? They didn't realize that their hatred was a waste of time, that the energy they spent plotting against you was only draining them. That's why they look tired. That's why they look bitter. They thought they were tearing you down, but all they did was burn themselves out. While they were focused on you, you were focused on something greater. While they were running in circles, you were moving forward. And that's why you never had to fight them, because they were never a real obstacle to begin with. They only had the power you gave them. And the moment you stopped caring, they disappeared. They will fade. But your purpose will not. And that's why they fear you, because you will outlast them. Because they know that in the end, they will be forgotten. But your name will remain. Malala Yousafzai faced immense opposition and violence for advocating girls' education in Pakistan. Her attackers tried to silence her, but her purpose was too strong to be destroyed. She didn't engage in the petty fights. Instead, she stayed true to her mission. Today, she is one of the most influential voices for education and women's rights, proving that nothing can stop a person with a greater purpose. Number 7. A wolf doesn't bark, it strikes. They wanted your words. They wanted your reaction. Because as long as they had your attention, they had a piece of your power. But when you went silent, they panicked. Silence is the deadliest weapon you can wield. Not because it shows weakness, but because it forces them to face themselves. And the truth is, your enemies aren't ready for that. They rely on noise, on distractions, on chaos, on keeping you tangled in pointless battles. They wanted you to explain yourself, to justify your existence, to prove them wrong. But when you said nothing, you became untouchable. Ecclesiastes 3:7 says, "A time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak." How often have you realized that silence, when used wisely, is the most powerful response? When did you learn the strength in saying nothing? Silence confuses them. It frustrates them. It makes them question everything. Why aren't they responding? Why aren't they defending themselves? Why aren't they reacting? They spiral, overthinking every move, drowning in their own paranoia, while you remain untouched. That is power. A fool argues. A king observes. A chosen one stays silent and lets the universe answer. They throw words like daggers, but they only cut themselves. They build traps but walk into them first. They create stories but expose their own bitterness in the process. And all the while, you say nothing. You don't have to, because your presence alone is enough to shake them. Your silence is louder than their screams. Ever notice how they crumble when they can't get a response out of you? How their insults turn into desperation? How they start slipping exposing their jealousy, their insecurities, their fear. That's not an accident. That's the power of silence at work. Ariana Grande has faced numerous public criticisms throughout her career, including personal attacks on her appearance and her choices. Instead of responding to each comment or fighting back, she chooses to focus on her music and her purpose. Her silence to critics only amplifies her power, showing that true strength lies in staying focused on what matters. They can't handle being ignored. They need to know they got to you. They need proof that their words had an impact. But when you don't flinch, when you don't feed their fire, they burn themselves down. And the best part? You never had to lift a finger. Silence forces people to reveal themselves, to show their true intentions, to expose their weakness. A person who can't handle your silence is a person who was never meant to stand in your presence. Because real power doesn't beg to be acknowledged. It doesn't chase. It doesn't explain itself. A wildfire doesn't need permission to consume everything in its path. A tsunami doesn't apologize before it drowns the shore. And a chosen one never wastes energy proving their worth to those who were never on their level. Let them wonder. Let them question. Let them sit in the emptiness of their own noise. Your silence is a mirror, and what they see in it is their own downfall. They wanted war. You gave them nothing, and in that nothingness, they destroyed themselves. They expected anger. They got indifference. They expected a fight. They got forgotten. And there is no fate worse for an enemy than realizing they never mattered to you in the first place. Let them talk. Let them scheme. Let them drown in the weight of their own words. Because while they are making noise, you are making moves. And that is why you will always win. Number 8. A caged mind will always hate the one who flies free. They don't just dislike you, they fear you, not because of what you've done, but because of what they cannot do to you. They can't control you, they can't predict you, they can't manipulate you, and that realization shakes them to their core. People who thrive on power, on control, on dominance, on making others bend to their will, crumble in the presence of someone who refuses to submit. They are used to pulling the strings. But you have no strings to pull. Matthew 10:28 reminds us, "Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell." Have you noticed how your refusal to be controlled ignites such fear in those who thrive on domination? How does it feel to know that your power comes from within, unshaken by external forces? They tried to guilt you, tried to make you doubt yourself, tried to lure you into their games, but you never stepped onto their board, you never played by their rules, and now they are left scrambling, desperate to regain a power over you that they never truly had. You see, weak people need control to feel powerful, but real power is self-contained. It does not need validation. It does not need to manipulate. It does not need an audience. And that is why you terrify them. They hate that you can walk away without looking back. They hate that you don't explain yourself, don't justify, don't ask for permission. Because that means they never had control over you to begin with. And that's the real fear, not your strength, but their own weakness. They fear what they cannot control, because without control they have nothing. No influence, no authority, no power. And so they resort to desperate, pathetic attempts, slandering your name, twisting the story, trying to rally others against you. 1 Corinthians 10:13 tells us, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear." How does it feel to know that every challenge you face is part of your divine purpose, and they cannot harm you because you are protected? But even that fails, because the moment you refuse to be controlled, you became untouchable. That's why they talk. That's why they watch. That's why they plot, because they are powerless to do anything else. A storm does not ask permission to rise. A wildfire does not apologize for burning. A chosen one does not lower themselves to explain their greatness to those who cannot comprehend it. They will hate you for your freedom. They will resent you for your strength. They will choke on the reality that you are everything they could never be. They want you to care. They want you to need their approval, to seek their validation. But you never will, and that's what breaks them the most. They cannot stand that you operate on your own terms, that you are not swayed by their whispers, their threats, their lies, that no matter what they throw at you, you remain unshaken. They will call you heartless, cold, arrogant. They will say you've changed, that you think you're better than them. Isaiah 41:10 comforts us. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. How does it feel knowing that, in the face of their attacks, you are never alone and you are held in divine strength? Let them. A lion does not concern itself with the opinions of sheep. You were not meant to be controlled. You were not meant to be tamed. You were not meant to be small, to be silent, to be predictable. And they will hate you for that. They will fear you for that, because the one thing they cannot control is the one thing they cannot defeat, and that is you. Number 9. A caged lion is still a lion, but a freed one is a king. They kept you in chains, not physical ones, but invisible ones, the kind that wrap around your mind, whispering doubt, feeding fear, suffocating your power before it even has a chance to rise. They trained you to seek approval, to wait for permission, to believe that power must be earned through the acceptance of others. That was the first lie. Romans 8:15 tells us, "The spirit you received does not make you slaves, so that you live in fear again. Rather, the spirit you received brought about your adoption to sonship. And by him we cry, Abba, Father." Have you ever realized that the freedom to claim your identity and purpose is yours by divine right, and no one can take that from you? You were never meant to be contained. You were never meant to play small, to shrink yourself so others could feel big, to dim your light so they wouldn't have to squint. But they made you believe you had to, because a chosen one who has broken free, that's a force no enemy can stop. Unleashing your power begins the moment you stop asking for permission to exist. Think about it. How many times have you held back, swallowed your words, lowered your energy? How many times did you doubt yourself because someone else couldn't handle the magnitude of your presence? They wanted you tamed, because an untamed, unleashed version of you destroys everything false. And now, here you are, waking up, realizing that the only thing holding you back was the illusion they created, the illusion that you needed them, that their approval meant something, that you had to move within their rules. John 8:32 reminds us, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Can you feel the power in embracing the truth of who you are and how that truth unchains you from their manipulation? But what happens when you realize the cage was never locked? They are terrified because they see it now, the shift in your energy, the way you move differently, the way their words don't touch you anymore. You were once predictable, manageable. Now you are untouchable, and that's the most dangerous thing you could ever be. They built their power off your hesitation, off your self-doubt, off your need to be accepted. But now you've burned that need to the ground. Now you stand in your own power, without apology, without explanation, and without chains, and they don't know what to do. Oprah Winfrey, despite facing early life struggles and being told she would never succeed, broke free from the expectations others set for her. Instead of letting self-doubt or societal limitations hold her back, she unleashed her power, became a media mogul, and built a legacy that proves that true freedom comes when we stop seeking approval and start living authentically. Because when you stop seeking validation, you become unstoppable. When you stop playing by their rules, you become unbreakable. When you stop asking for permission, you become limitless. Look around. The ones who doubted you, silent, watching, nervous. The ones who tried to hold you back, scrambling, realizing they can't stop what's already in motion. And that's the beauty of it. They never had power over you. They only had the power you gave them. And now you've taken it back. You are free. And a chosen one who is free is a force no enemy can survive. Number 10. A broken mirror will blame the reflection. They can't stand you, not because you've done anything wrong, but because you remind them of everything they will never be. Your presence alone forces people to see the truth, their weaknesses, their fears, their wasted potential. You don't have to call them out. You don't have to expose them. They do it to themselves. You are a mirror they can't avoid, and that's why they hate you. Hebrews 4:12 reminds us, "For the word of God is alive and active. Sharper than any double-edged sword, it penetrates even to dividing soul and spirit, joints and marrow. It judges the thoughts and attitudes of the heart." How does it feel knowing that your authenticity serves as a mirror to those who cannot face their own reflection? They wanted to believe they were strong, but when they see you standing tall despite everything thrown at you, it reminds them how easily they break. They wanted to believe they were special, but when they see you move with real purpose, it reminds them they've been running in circles. They wanted to believe they were powerful, but when they see that their words, their jealousy, their attacks don't even make you flinch, it reminds them how powerless they truly are. And that's why they fight you. Not because of what you've done, but because of what you represent. Psalm 139 verses 23 to 24 says, "Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." Do you feel how your very being calls others to confront their own shortcomings and seek the truth within themselves? They see you rising, and instead of being inspired, they are enraged, because deep down, they know they could have done more. They know they had chances, but they were too lazy, too scared, too weak to take them. So now, instead of fixing themselves, they choose to hate you, because you are living proof that they have no excuse. They throw dirt at you, hoping it will cover their own insecurities. They lie about you, hoping it will distract from their own failures. They try to dim your light, hoping it will make their own darkness feel less suffocating. But no matter what they do, they cannot escape the reflection. Romans 12:19 says, "Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath, for it is written, 'It is mine to avenge, I will repay,' says the Lord." How often do you remind yourself that their attacks are not yours to fix, but part of a bigger plan? They talk about you obsessively, trying to convince themselves that you are the problem, but all they are doing is revealing their own misery. They are proving, without you lifting a single finger, that they are weak, bitter, and lost. And here's the best part. You don't even need to fight back, because the truth is, they are destroying themselves. Their envy is eating them alive. Their obsession with you is draining them. Their need to see you fall is keeping them from rising. Meanwhile, you just keep shining. You don't need to argue. You don't need to defend yourself. You don't need to prove anything to people who have already proven they are beneath you. Because at the end of the day, your light will keep exposing them. Your success will keep reminding them of their failure. Your strength will keep highlighting their weakness. Your growth will keep making their stagnation unbearable. Proverbs 27:19 teaches, "As water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart." Do you ever wonder how your actions reveal the true state of others' hearts, showing them for who they truly are? They can't avoid it. You are everywhere, and that's why they are furious. Because no matter how hard they try to tear you down, they can't look away. They check on you, stalk you, talk about you, even as they claim they don't care. They laugh at your struggles, but they watch your every move. They pray for your downfall, but they never stop looking up at you. You live rent-free in their mind. And the best revenge? Giving them nothing. No reaction, no energy, no response. Just success. Because nothing hurts them more than knowing you were never competing with them in the first place. So keep moving, keep rising, keep shining. Let them talk, let them see, let them drown in their own reflection. Because a mirror doesn't apologize for showing the truth, and neither do you. Emma Watson, renowned actress and activist, faced immense scrutiny in her early career, especially after transitioning from the Harry Potter films into adult roles. Rather than responding to criticism or trying to please others, she focused on her personal growth and her work with the United Nations. By remaining true to herself, she not only overcame the pressures of public judgment, but also became a symbol of empowerment, showing the world the strength that comes with authenticity. Number 11. Pressure creates diamonds and fire makes steel. So, keep the pressure coming. They thought they could break you. They thought if they threw enough at you, enough life, enough betrayals, enough obstacles, you would finally crumble, that you would finally give up. Isaiah 43:2 reassures us, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze." How does it feel knowing that even the toughest trials are just part of your journey toward greatness? But here's what they never understood. You were never meant to break. Every hit they landed, every knife they threw in your back, every trap they set only made you stronger. They didn't realize that the very storms they sent to destroy you were the same ones shaping you into something indestructible. The more they pushed, the stronger you became. The more they tried, the more they failed. Because every time they thought they had won, you rose again. Every time they were sure you were finished, you came back even harder. 2 Corinthians 4:8-9 says, "We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed." How does it feel knowing that every setback has only been a setup for your greater comeback? They expected you to stay down, to drown in the weight of their attacks. But you are not made of glass, you are made of iron. They thought they were weakening you, but all they did was sharpen the weapon. They don't understand why nothing works anymore, why every insult rolls off your back, why every betrayal only makes you move smarter, why every setback only fuels your next move. It's because they don't get it. They don't know what it means to be forged in fire, to be built for the storm. They wanted to see you afraid. They wanted to see you desperate, but all they did was turn you into something they can never defeat. And that's what scares them the most. They tried to take your confidence. Instead, you became fearless. They tried to make you doubt yourself. Instead, you became unshakable. They tried to take your power. Instead, you realized you were unstoppable all along. Jeremiah 29:11 reassures us, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." How does it feel to know that every challenge you face is part of God's greater plan for you? They wanted you to think you were weak, that you needed their approval, that you needed their validation. But the moment you stopped caring, stopped reacting, stopped explaining, you became the biggest threat they'd ever faced. And now, they are the ones who are afraid. Afraid of how much stronger you've become. afraid of the fact that you no longer flinch at their attacks, afraid of what you'll do now that you finally see your own power. They can't control you anymore. They can't intimidate you anymore. They can't stop you anymore. And the more they try, the more foolish they look, because every challenge, every betrayal, every moment they tried to tear you down has only built you into a version of yourself that they can never touch. J.K. Rowling, author of the Harry Potter series, was rejected by multiple publishers before finding success. The trials she faced in her personal life, including struggles with depression and financial difficulties, only fueled her desire to create. Her resilience transformed what seemed like failures into the foundation for her monumental success, proving that pressure truly does create diamonds. You've already won, not because they stopped attacking, but because it doesn't even matter anymore. Their words, useless; their schemes, predictable; their hate, irrelevant. They threw fire at you, and you walked out as the fire itself. They sent storms your way, and you became the thunder. They tried to bury you, and they forgot you were a seed. The more they tried to break you, the more unbreakable you became. And now they are the ones crumbling. Number 12. A candle can be blown out, but the sun burns no matter who hates it. They watch you, study you, obsess over you. They try to figure out why you move the way you do, why nothing seems to touch you, why your presence alone feels like a force too heavy for them to handle. And the truth is, it's not you they fear. It's their own weakness in the face of your power. Psalm 121, 5-6 says, "The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night." Have you ever realized that your strength, the power within you, is a divine protection that nothing can dim? They want to believe you're just like them, that you're ordinary, that you can be rattled, broken, or controlled. But you are not them, and that's what eats them alive. Your energy is something they will never understand. It cannot be touched, stolen, or reduced. It is yours and yours alone. They can mimic your words, copy your style, even try to replicate your success, but they will never hold the essence of what makes you you, and they know it. Isaiah 40:31 reassures us, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." Do you ever feel how this divine strength fuels you, making your essence untouchable and unstoppable, no matter how hard they try? That's why they talk. That's why they scheme. That's why they try to find cracks in your armor, hoping there's some hidden weakness they can exploit. But all they find is a wall too high to climb, a fire too strong to put out. They are afraid that no matter what they do, they will never reach your level. Afraid that no matter how hard they try to diminish you, you will only rise higher. Proverbs 3:25-26 says, "Have no fear of sudden disaster, or of the ruin that overtakes the wicked, for the Lord will be at your side and will keep your foot from being snared." How does it feel to know that no matter how fiercely they try, you are always held in divine protection, untouchable by their schemes? They throw shade, hoping it will dim your light. But what they don't realize is your energy doesn't need approval. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't bend to the opinions of the weak. You could disappear for months, say nothing, do nothing, and they would still feel your presence. That's the level of power you hold. You don't have to prove yourself. You are proof, and it kills them. They watch you from the shadows, hoping for your downfall, but all they see is a force they cannot touch, because your energy is not physical. It is not something that can be taken, broken, or manipulated. It is something they will fear until their last breath. Galatians 6:7 teaches us, "Do not be deceived, God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows." How often have you noticed how their envy and bitterness always come back to them, showing that their attempts to tear you down only harm them instead? Have you ever noticed how their attempts to destroy you always backfire? How their bitterness always circles back and poisons them instead? That's not luck, that's law. The universe does not reward envy. It does not uplift the ones who move in deception. It restores balance. And balance means that everything meant for you will always be yours. Leonardo DiCaprio, despite decades of dedication to his craft, faced years of public scrutiny and mockery for not winning an Academy Award. Many doubted his abilities and some celebrated his losses. However, he never succumbed to the critics. Instead, he continued focusing on his work, eventually winning the coveted award. His success did not come from appeasing others. It came from continuing to be true to his craft, showing the world that his value was never based on their approval. You are like the sun, untouchable, unstoppable, burning no matter who tries to blow out your light. Beloved chosen one, as we conclude today, remember this truth. The path you walk is uniquely yours, and nothing, no whisper, no plot, no enemy can change that. You've been forged by fire, built for the storm, and made indestructible. Every challenge they throw at you is just another step in your rise. You are a force they can never comprehend, and that's why they fear you. Their actions were never about you. They were always about their own insecurities. But their attempts to dim your light only made you shine brighter. I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for being here today, for joining in this journey. Your energy, your presence, and your strength are a testament to the power within you. Whether you choose to support this message through a donation or not, I want to express my deepest gratitude. Your engagement, your belief in this journey, and your continued growth is all the support we need. If you feel moved to contribute, I invite you to use the Super Thanks feature. Your generosity, no matter how big or small, is deeply appreciated. But please know, your support, whether through donations or simply by being here, is valued beyond measure. As you continue on your path, remember that you are chosen, you are powerful, and your journey is just beginning. May blessings of peace, protection, and boundless strength surround you always. Keep moving, keep rising, and know that the universe is on your side. May you always walk in light and lead with love. Peace and blessings to you, beloved chosen one.